Rose? Where are you guys? I don't see you outside anywhere. Did you park the car somewhere else?
Jenny, I was just wondering about you. Where have you run off to this time,
Run off to? I didn't go anywhere. I was just in the bathroom while we were at the gas station. I don't see the car anywhere, and I've been looking all over for you. Did you leave without me?
I guess we must have, yeah. We're at the rest stop now, the one with the diner by the lake.
The diner by the lake? Wait, you mean that rest? All the way down the interstate? You're kidding me, right? That's like dozens of miles away from here. What are we going to do? It'll take forever for you to come back for me.
And you're still at the gas station, huh? Well now, how did that happen?
I mean, I guess you somehow took off while I was still in the bathroom? I'm just impressed you guys actually forgot me. And since neither you nor Isaac are picking up the phone or reading my messages, I've just been sort of stranded here.
That's odd. I could have sworn you were in the back seat with Isaac. I guess you're right. I must have accidentally left you behind.
You seriously really just didn't notice I was there? Are you sure something else didn't happen? I mean, I don't want to be rude, but this isn't exactly like Kevin McAllister's mom forgetting him or something. There's only 5 of us, myself included, and we're not exactly driving a city bus. Wouldn't you have noticed right away if any of us were missing?
Hey, I was pretty preoccupied with the trip home, you know. You know how that is. Don't you ever get in the zone behind the wheel and forget something important? Besides, everyone else is taking a nap in the back, and I thought you were too. I figured we were all tired from being on the road since the crack of dawn, so I might as well just get a move on as soon as possible. I'm sure you can understand.
Sure, that makes sense. What should I do, though? It's not exactly like I can get a taxi or a ride out from here to there. I hate to ask, but could you please come and get me the next time you get a chance to turn around?
Gee, I'd love to, but considering how long it would take to come back for you, it'd be ages before we actually made it home. Besides, I don't even know if I have enough for the toll booze.
I mean, yeah, time will be a problem no matter what, but I promise you money is no issue. The car's got a card hooked up to it that just charges my credit card, so you can pass through the booth without even having to talk to anyone.
You know me, though. I'm horrible with directions. I know how to get home, but other than that, I'm as blind as a bat.
I guess, but there's a GPS system built in. You just need to put the name of the gas station into it, and it'll tell you where to go, no problem.
That's easy for you to say. I'm no good with this newfangled technology. We just had maps and people telling us instructions when I was growing up.
Alright? I mean, if it seems like too daunting of a task for you, I think it might make sense for you to wake Isaac up and ask him to take over driving. I doubt he wants to leave his wife behind at the gas station either. I'm sure if he was awake and reading his messages, he'd feel the same.
Are you telling me to wake up my exhausted son and put him behind the wheel? Nonsense. He deserves a break from your incessant whining anyway. That's why I silenced his phone in the first place. I'm not going to put him through such an inconvenience at this point, and asking for more from him is just downright insensitive.
I agree it's inconvenient to wake him, but leaving me stuck at a gas station hours from home is already pretty inconvenient, I'd say. The ship has already sailed on avoiding any kind of trouble at this point, so shouldn't we just change course now to avoid making things worse?
I'm sorry, but I need to put my family first, Jenny. I hope you can understand this is just the sort of thing a mother has to do.
Am I not family at this point? I married your son. I bore the 2 grandchildren you cherish with your whole heart. What more do you want from me?
I appreciate that, I really do, but at the end of the day, you're a stranger to me. Nothing more, nothing less. Grandchildren or no, you will never be part of this family. A mysterious woman who lives off my son's hard-earned money and frankly doesn't contribute enough to justify it. Frankly, I don't think I owe you anything, and I'm not interested in pretending otherwise.
So, that's how you feel about me, huh? I have to be honest, the more you go on and on, the less likely the story about you accidentally leaving the gas station without me is sounding. If I had to guess, I'd say you might have waited for the kids and Isaac to fall asleep so you could ditch me on purpose.
Is that so? Well, you got me. I've been looking for a way to uproot the weeds growing in my family's garden for quite some time now. I knew I wouldn't be able to keep any charades for too long, but for as clever you are, even you need to be put in your place and told when you don't belong.
At least you're finally being honest with me. I can't say I've ever sensed any hostility from you before. Can you fill me in on what exactly I did wrong? If you talk to me, we could have a civilized discussion instead of whatever your master plan is here.
Civilized? Oh, please, there's simply nothing civil about you. Do you think I was born yesterday or something? I know exactly what you get up to, Missy.
I feel like I'm missing some key information here.
Don't try to hide behind your veneer of intelligence. I know you haven't been doing a single thing around the house. Not the dishes, not a single load of laundry, not even caring to sweep or vacuum the place. You've burdened my son with all these things he simply shouldn't be worried about. And as a wife and a mother, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And you heard this from Isaac, I take it?
Of course, he told me he was doing all the housework and I was simply appalled. He even told me he has to go pick up the kids from school every day. Honestly, how lazy can you get?
Is that all he told you?
What more could he possibly need to tell me? The man works tirelessly all day to support the family financially, and then he has to come home and keep the house in order too? That's just plain old sadistic, if you ask me. My son is a saint, and he deserves better than a rotten wife like you.
I had no idea this was your impression of me, nor that Isaac would go out of his way to paint me in such a light.
Sounds to me like you thought you could get away with your nasty, nefarious behavior, but now I've got you in hot water. I'm sure you don't have the good sense to talk to your parents regularly, but Isaac tells me everything. There's no use hiding it from me.
If you don't like me, that's one thing, but isn't leaving me stranded a little, extreme? What are you even trying to accomplish here, other than ruin my day?
True, this wasn't the most permanent way of stopping you from plaguing my son, but it taught you a valuable lesson that I hope you'll internalize soon. Anything that isn't needed around here is getting left behind, people included.
I assume you want me to just give up on the idea of you ever coming back for me, in that case?
Smart as a whip, I see. Took you long enough, but still glad you're finally taking a hint. My grandchildren deserve to be emancipated from the nasty woman they have to call their mother.
I see. So that's how it is. I guess I'll just have to find my own way out of here.
I know actually trying to work hard is a foreign concept for you, but I'm sure you'll manage. Maybe you can use your wiles to get some dope of a guy to drive you home.
Still, don't you think this is all going to blow up in your face when Isaac and the kids wake up and start asking about me? I mean, what are you going to do? Brainwash them in their sleep? Actually, I don't want to give you any ideas.
I have no need for anything of the sort. I'm simply doing what's right, and when my family wakes up, they will be relieved to know I've dealt with the miasma of suffering clouding their lives thus far. In fact, I have to say, it'd be best if you simply never came home at all, for their sake.
I imagined you'd say something like that. You're really serious about trying to get rid of me, huh?
I'm really serious about my son's happiness, and I won't let you stand in the way of that. I can't wait to see the look on his face when I tell him I've taken care of things. As for you, why don't you just find a new life for yourself by the gas pumps, Honey, I'm home. Well, Jenny, how about yourself? Have you started working the register there? Or are you trying to hitch a ride home still?
I got my dad to come pick me up and take me back to my parents' place. I figured it would be best if I didn't try to come home tonight. It'll probably only make things worse between us. You don't have to worry about seeing me tonight, I promise.
Your parents, huh? That's disappointing. Here I was hoping you were gonna be stranded there all night, at least. Still, I can rest easy knowing how humiliating it must have been to ask your father to pick you up like you were some unruly teenager. Besides, they don't exactly live close by, and at this hour, my, the money for gas and time spent in traffic must have really added up. Have you no shame? Honestly, I thought you would have learned to live with the consequences of your actions, yet still you find ways to burden others with your mere existence.
I'm not super happy about it, but what else was I supposed to do? You didn't exactly leave me with a lot of options here. If you want to blame anyone or make anyone feel ashamed for the grievance you've caused me or my family, you should blame yourself, Rose.
Oh, please, if you really wanted to save anyone some trouble, you could have just walked until you could hail a cab.
Walk? Alongside the highway? That's ludicrous, both in terms of danger and distance, and you know it.
So, do you honestly think I care about your well-being? After all you've put my darling son and his children through, you wretch? You act like I'm not sitting here waiting for you to get hit by a car. That's the sort of thing that would really take you out of the picture.
How can you say that sort of thing? Even to someone you don't like. That's beyond rude. Insulting. Humiliating. That's just downright barbaric.
Oh, please. I'm sure Isaac has been praying for something far worse to happen to you after the kind of low-class wife you've been to him. My suspicions about his underlying hatred of you are only being confirmed as I take a little tour of his house of yours. I mean, this place is filled with all sorts of gadgets and opulent nonsense. Just look at the size of your TV. Let me guess, you paid for all of this extravagance with my son's money, too, didn't you?
So, leaving me stranded wasn't enough. Now you're ransacking my abode? The barbaric stuff is just getting more and more out by the minute.
Well, if I'm going to live here, it stands to reason I should at least give the place a once-over, no matter how revolted I am.
If you're going to... I'm sorry, is there something wrong with you? Like, genuinely. Like ditching me on the side of the road and telling me to get hit by a car? That's one thing, and something I can guess I can understand if you've decided on hating me. But at this point, the logic is either non-existent or downright perverse. Do you honestly think my family isn't going to notice I'm not home with them? And I can't believe I'm saying this. If you're about to tell me you're going to plan to dress up like me and become your son's wife, I'm going to be sick. I swear to God, I will call the cops or an exorcist. Maybe both.
Oh, you're good for a laugh. I can give you that much. Too bad you're not making money as a stand-up. Then maybe I'd go a little easier on you. Truth is, the kids and Isaac were half asleep once we pulled into the garage. I told them you went out to the grocery store and they bought it, and he carried them inside so they could all keep napping together.
Congratulations! You bought yourself some time. Now what's the next step of your master plan? Do you expect them to sleep forever? Put them in cryostasis? They're people, Rose. They're your own flesh and blood, which you claim to always put first. Despite the fact that you're continually pulling the wool over their eyes.
Trust me, they'll come to consciousness and their senses soon enough, and they'll see how good they have it with me and without you.
You're not taking the whole impersonating me idea seriously, are you?
Why would I want to impersonate a good-for-nothing she-scoundrel like yourself, huh? If you want to talk about being taken seriously, you should have heard what your own husband said about you behind your back.
And what would that be?
I'll have you know that Isaac called you a vampire, a blood-sucking creature who steals away his money and his will to live. He told me in confidence that marrying you was the single biggest mistake of his life, and he would take it all back if he could, even if it meant not having the children. He'd choose losing the children if it meant he could lose you, Jenny.
He'd really go so far to say something like that?
Of course he would. I'm his mother, and he'd never lie to me. Not that you'd know anything about that. I doubt the kids would trust you even when they're your age. Still, if you don't want to take my word for it, why not ask him yourself? Unless that is you too scared to hear the truth from his mouth.
Of course I'm going to ask him if he really meant it.
He's been so resilient in the face of such hardship. That's my son for you. He can't go on any longer, though, and that's why I've come to save him from you.
I don't know. Something tells me you'd make any excuse to insert yourself as the hero of this story, with me as some kind of tempting villainess. Do you honestly expect me to believe you care about him or the kids when I see how feverishly intent you are on making me suffer in these cruel and unusual ways?
Hold your tongue, you vile woman. You truly are insidious, you know that? To think my son has lived with someone of your temperament for 5 years. Even the most lowly woman would have the common decency to accept this is what's best for their men and children by this point, and yet you still put up a fight. I'm beginning to suspect you're not even human at all.
Can I be honest with you, Rose? I don't buy any of this, not for 1 second. I don't believe for a single second that my husband, the man I have loved every day we've been together, would say the kinds of things you claim. At the very least, I don't think he'd unload all of this onto you without ever once showing me a glimpse of remorse for marrying me or for us having children.
As usual, you're taking his immense gentle heart for granted. Of course, he's far too sweet of a man to ever say something so biting to your face. Of course, you seem incapable of appreciating his hard work and dedication in the first place, no matter how much work you leave him to do.
You do realize I don't make him do the housework, right? Not that I want you finding out the things we get up to in our personal time, but I don't exactly whip him when he doesn't do the dishes. He cleans things and takes care of the house of his own volition, of his own interest, because he's a caring, good guy, like you said.
I'm sure that's easy pill to swallow, feeding yourself this garbage about his interests while you leave a dirty mess of a home for him to toil over. He's been telling me this whole time about how much deep aching pain he's in from having to do that sort of thing day in and day out.
It's a broom and dustpan, Rose, not a jackhammer. Anyways, I'd really appreciate it if you stop putting words in your son's mouth. It's getting a little old at this point.
What's getting old is hearing your vain, empty attempts to avoid taking accountability for your own wretched behavior. This is why I was opposed to you two being married. I knew you weren't the right one for him in the slightest. Women who marry men younger than them always carry this disgusting, obnoxious sense of superiority, and you're no different.
Well, at least you finally stopped pretending you despise me for anything I actually did. Unless loving your son is now suddenly a sin? I've known you hated my guts since the moment we first met, but this is even more than I could have imagined. Don't you hear how evil you sound?
I try to be subtle and give hints over the past decade, but since you're clearly too thick-headed to understand, I've had to opt for a different approach. The time for diplomacy has ended, and the gloves are solidly off, you cradle robber.
Huh? I am 3 years older than him. That's a bit of a stretch, even for you. All right, fine. There's no bargaining with you. I'll quit trying to come home. That's what you want, right?
That's more like it. I'd stick to your word if I were you. I think you'll find your welcome less than warm if you decide to show up.
I hear you loud and clear at this point. Don't worry.
Good. Finally, I can rid Isaac of the leech that's been clamped to his skin, draining his life force with every whim and worry-free purchase made on his dollar. Now, do me a favor and be gone from my sight permanently. Back to your rotten tricks, So much for keeping your word and understanding my wrath. And don't even think about denying it. This has you written all over it.
What has me written all over it? Sorry, I'm not sure I'm following.
My grandchildren aren't home and it's the middle of the day. That's very slick of you, picking them up from school and luring them away from their own family, you sick, sick woman. You will return them to me at once.
I didn't do anything, and even if I did, I would be picking them up as their mother, not some stranger danger character, you freakish old woman. Besides, if anyone picked them up, it was Isaac, who does that every day, of his own volition. In fact, Maybe he did what he always does and brought them back to their mother like they want.
Are you out of your mind?
Are you? I'd imagine you'd have to be to separate children from their mother who did them no harm. I would describe someone who wants to split a loving husband and wife apart as pretty out of her mind, personally.
Enough. Start explaining yourself now. What did you do to coerce Isaac into handing them over to you, huh?
Nothing, really. He's a free-thinking and acting man, and all that happened is that we decided to see each other. We're considering a divorce because of your actions.
Well, that sounds sensible enough. Still, I would have liked if you had gotten divorced much sooner.
Well, that's your favorite opinion, isn't it? On the other hand, Isaac seems really torn up about it, and he really only wants us to separate if it's absolutely necessary. And by the way, when I asked him about the things you said he told you, he called it a gross exaggeration of the truth.
All right, I played things up a bit, so what? Since when is being dramatic a crime? They give out awards for that sort of thing, I'll have you know. More importantly, if your little domestic snafu has been solved, it's time for you to give me back my grandchildren, you witch. Those poor babies, the two of them must be miserable without their lovely grandmother at their side.
I wouldn't be too worried about them if I were you. Not to rain on your parade, but when I saw them now for the first time in a week, and I asked them if they were okay, they only had bad things to say about you.
Enough. I won't fall for this sort of mind game so easily.
There's no mind game, honest. They just told me plainly, in the way only little kids their age can, that they hated their grandma. It's just heartbreaking to hear, isn't it? According to them, they never wanted to see you again, even if it meant we had to find a new home and a new school.
That's impossible. My own flesh and blood would never. What have you done? You brainwashed them too, haven't you? You haven't done anything to deserve their love. You're just a lazy, money-grabbing mosquito of a woman in more ways than one.
Right. And just to be clear, whose money am I grubbing on exactly?
What ridiculous thing to ask. You're leeching off my son's salary, of course.
Right, your son, my husband, who is not making any money at the moment. Is that who I'm leeching money off?
Not making any... What?
Isaac's been a stay-at-home dad for a while now, Rose. You didn't know that? I thought he told you anything and everything.
What kind of drivel are you spouting this time? There's no way that's true. My son is nothing short of an elite. The boy was a valedictorian on the dean's list and worked his way up to the top of the corporate ladder. He'd never do something so soft.
Well, your elite son packed up his office 3 years ago, after the children were born.
That makes 0 sense at all. That would make it an incomeless household. You quit work as soon as you got hitched to him, didn't you?
I did quit the job I had, that part is true, but I kept on working freelance, and I've been doing so ever since. Do you not remember me mentioning that at the wedding?
I thought freelance was just one of those words your generation uses when they mean they're broke.
You've got some learning to do, I guess. I'm an interior designer with a good reputation and circle of people, a well-polished portfolio, and an attractive website. I really don't need an office job. I've explained this to you dozens of times by this point, but I guess it never stuck with you, did it?
Oh, phooey. Nobody cares that much about work you can do from home, let alone on the internet. I'm sure you've just been gorging yourself on whatever extravagant severance package they gave Isaac, and you're just patting yourself on the back here.
If that's what you want to believe, then go right ahead. It's a free country, after all. Whether or not you want to believe me when I say he didn't get any severance pay when he left is similarly up to you.
No severance pay? Explain, now.
Sure, although it's hardly mind-blowing. Like you said, Isaac was at the top of his company, and he's interested in going back to work when the kids are a little less of a handful. Of course, the others recognized his value and want him back, too, so not giving him severance is more like insurance that he'll come back. Meanwhile, I've been getting more and more work steadily, especially with Isaac fully committed to things like picking the kids up and housework. In other words, we can live comfortably just on my paycheck, and Isaac is very satisfied with me being the breadwinner.
I feel like I'm in some kind of parallel universe.
Yeah, or maybe the world has moved on from your backwards idea of how starting a family works. Why should Isaac be expected to do all the work and I be expected to do all the keeping of the house? If anything, you should be relieved that the two of us are as comfortable and secure in our respective masculinity and femininity, not repulsed. That's the only reason anyone ascribes to these gender roles. You know, to validate this fear people like their backwards parents impose on them.
Oh, save it for whatever college you got your liberal arts degree from, Jenny. Besides, your story is a sham and I can prove it. If Isaac quit his job years ago like you say, how come I haven't heard anything about it until now,
Right, and you feel like Isaac would be comfortable telling you he wanted to be a house husband full-time? Is that so? Can you honestly say you wouldn't look down on your son if he told you the truth? I'd love to be proven wrong here.
My own son lied to me?
He had to keep up quite the extensive facade to make sure you were happy, and it's been quite draining for the both of us. If you want to know why divorce is on the table for us, it's because we're not sure if we can bear to do this anymore. The kids are young now, but if they grow up thinking that we're some kind of shapeshifters who exist to please you, the whole point of parenthood is to try to make sure your kids come out better than you. But if you had your way, I'd be raising my children to be monsters.
He took them away to save them from me then? Fine. You're too good to let the kids see me, but why would Isaac quit his job? Even if you could support him, why would he want to leave the top of the ladder?
Being at the top of the ladder is exactly why he left in the first place. What are you supposed to do with yourself when you spend your whole life climbing only to find there's no more rungs to grab one day? Can you blame him for wanting a break from that kind of intense, fast-paced life?
He quit an executive position over something so trivial.
I felt the same when he first told me he was leaving, but hey, it's a matter of pride. If he was pushed to work even more, it might just break him. Besides, he wants to go back someday. He's just been trying not to burn out and spending his energy on being there for the kids. Which, you know, is the whole reason the two of us want to work in the first place.
That foolish, no-good son of mine. Why didn't he just get a different job, huh? What an idiot!
I think you're missing the point, Rose, but whatever.
At this point, I'm afraid to ask, but just how much money are you making to support my oaf of a son, anyway?
Yearly? I'd say in the ballpark of $300,000.
Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I mean, I work for pretty important clients and they're willing to shell out lots of money for huge, elaborate design work. That's pretty much what I've been alluding to this whole time. Yeah.
But if you get divorced, how will he support himself? How will he support me?
I dunno. And frankly, I don't really care. I'm only really interested in providing for my family, you know?
But I'm your family. You can't take me away from my grandchildren. That's unthinkable.
Is it any worse than you raising my children in my house? Keeping them away from me? Who's to say, right? As far as us being family goes, well, Isaac signed those divorce papers while you were blustering about him being a fool. The ink's just about to dry, so I ought to take this down to the courthouse soon. I guess that makes us less like family and more like strangers at this point, right?
What? You actually went through with it?
That's right, with heavy hearts.
Well, when is he coming home then?
Back to that house? He said he didn't have any interest in being anywhere you are. After all, you did just destroy what was a happy marriage. What kind of sick woman tries to take her son away from his own children and then expects him to take care of her? He's a gentle soul, it's true, but you've awakened a deep, biting hatred inside of him after what you've done.
And all because I wanted to make sure he was okay? So what if I told a few lies? It was to protect him. Where's he going to go from here on out anyways?
Isaac and I are on good terms, and of course he wants to see the kids and be a part of their life, but he's not ready to go back to the office yet. A friend of his owns a mechanic shop downtown, and since he likes fixing the car and that sort of thing, he's going to work there for a while. It'll be a nice change of pace for him, having a job where everyone isn't at each other's throats.
That's ridiculous. He's not some dirty, oil-stained mechanic type. He's never told me he had any interest in that sort of work. That's beneath a man of his caliber.
Again, just because he didn't tell you, it doesn't mean it's not true. Maybe he didn't want to be humiliated by his own mother who's put him through so much torment.
I don't believe this. How could that little brat stab me in the back like this, time after time? Marry a wretched woman like yourself, fancying himself some kind of moronic, effeminate husband, and now this? This? Tell him to answer his phone and apologize to me now.
Sorry, he already left, and besides, I don't think he wants to talk to you because he knew this is exactly how you treat him. Besides, what he wants to do is his business, not mine. I love him, and if this is what he needs to feel happy, to feel like he's not under your thumb, he deserves that.
So what am I supposed to do now? Just live in this big empty place by myself? What am I gonna do for money?
Oh, wow, yeah, I almost forgot. Thanks for reminding me.
Reminding you? Does this mean you're going to support me?
Oh, you're good for a laugh, I can give you that much. But no, not in your wildest dreams are you going to see a shred of financial support from me.
All right then, spit it out.
That place isn't really fit to be lived in as of today. I mean, it's in pristine condition right now, but it's technically condemned.
And let me guess, you own this place, don't you? So you want to kick me out?
Well, I do own it, but even if it was Isaac's, I wouldn't recommend staying very long. The place is about to be demolished after all, so I'd say you should keep your visit very, very brief at this point.
Demolished?
Yeah, someone in the neighborhood wanted to buy up the land the house is on as part of some elaborate hotel construction job. We were planning to stay there at least until the kids were a little older, so I was on the fence up until now. Thanks to you forcing us all out of the house with that rancid personality of yours, I was able to sell the land off guilt-free.
You sold the house?
Mm-hmm. A money-grubbing mosquito woman like me has to make money somehow, right? Plus, with the construction plan and the prime real estate, I was able to get some serious buck for all the bang they're going to do.
But I already ended my lease with my apartment when I came up with my plan to usurp you.
And what a usurping it was. You better get a move on, though, otherwise you're going to be homeless or blown to bits soon enough. Still, all the other unnecessary stuff in that house is being discarded or exploded anyway, so why not join in on the fun?
Unnecessary? Who's unnecessary? How can you say such awful things to an old woman like myself?
Whoops! Slip of the tongue, I guess. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say to you. Do me a favor and keep yourself in one piece, okay? Or don't. I'm not interested in keeping tabs on you anyways. I'll be excusing myself from the conversation and your life now.
Hang on. Hang on! This isn't right. We're not done here in the slightest. You can't take me away from my son. You can't keep me from seeing my darling grandchildren.
I didn't do anything. You were the one who pushed everyone away, and now it's time for you to live with that.
Wait, I didn't want to hurt anyone, I promise. I'll take it back. I'll change my ways. Just come back here so we can be a real family together. I'll do whatever it takes. I won't ever see Isaac either, if that's what you want. Just please. Please don't take the kids.
Isaac and I separated quite peacefully and fully intent on staying involved with each other, just not legally. It was clear we just needed our own time and space to process what Rose had put us through, and I was happily willing to forego tradition to do that. As far as Isaac goes, the guy's positively filthy whenever I come see him at work, covered in dark smudges of grease and oil. Beneath that exterior, though, he smiles bigger and brighter now than he ever did in a suit and tie. And for the man I love, that's all I could ever ask for. The kids were confused as to why their parents weren't together, but when they saw how glad he was to see them when I took them to his shop, I think they got it. They hadn't endured the watchful gaze of Rose nearly as long as he had, but even at their young age, those two could value the feeling of being free from her. Their upbringing might be unorthodox, but my hope is that if we find our own joy, we can spare them from being burdened with the sorrow we impose on them. More than the fact that she left me deserted on the road, more than the fact that she took the kids and my husband away from me, that was Rose's biggest sin in my opinion. No matter how hard Isaac worked, how hard he pushed himself to make her happy and proud, it was clear she was greedy enough to always want more out of him. Speaking of her, I heard she stayed in that house, paralyzed with fear, until the construction company called the cops on her and had her arrested as a squatter. The last I heard of her, she showed up at my parents' house of all places, begging for help from them after she'd been buried in debt. Ironic, given she tried to shame me for asking them for help after she abandoned me, but whatever. As you can imagine, they said no, and she vanished after that. Good riddance, I'd say.